market share, and they're very good at it, obviously, right? What's cable modem service? Stealing market share. What's digital voice? Stealing market share. There's a pattern of behavior that suggests what they'll do next is come after the leading wireless providers, and my guess is that they're going to be successful at it. They've not failed yet. That's the issue. Trevor. One of my favorite friends, Trevor.
How are you?
He's a bit doctor, really good at programming stuff.
So, okay, and that's the source of the question. So, you know, nobody believes more than I do that applications are where it's increasingly going to be at, right? Okay, so software development and application development keep evolving. Right? Now we're on to test-driven development, right? Previously we were on, we moved way past what UML was supposed to represent for us when we were at object orientation in the 80s and 90s. So application development keeps going, and really what we seem to be evolving is ways of developing faster, like that are actually working this time, as opposed to what we had in the 90s. Network engineering doesn't, as far as I can tell, right? We want our 5 nines of uptime, and if it goes down, it's the end of the world. So here's a question. If applications development is increasingly focused on speed and agility, and these things are becoming realities, not just buzzwords, but network engineering isn't evolving in a different mindset, how much does that limit different players in the room or anywhere else from adopting a new business model? Is that difference, the other way to ask the question is that difference between speed and stability real, or is it psychological in your opinion?
Well, I agree with you about the sort of pace of change. Now, network engineers by training know that any changes they make are more likely to break something than to add a new capability, so that the reason they move slow, very complicated systems. That's why I think the bit pipe thing is so important, right? You need to have a very fluid, transparent, large bit pipe always to allow these other things to happen. So all the network engineering stuff normally is voice service, 5 nines, right? The truth is, who gets 5 nines anymore, right? Most people talk on their cell phones sometime every day. That service never has been 5 nines, right? Is your Windows operating system 5 nines? You know, it's not anywhere close to that, right? Are your servers 5 nines? No. Your T1, can you get a service level guarantee for 5 nines? No. Can you get a service level guarantee that high for ATM? No, right? Nothing in the real world that people actually use and that is still important to them operates 5 nines. It's good to have a reliable network, but this fixation on the 5 nines thing is kind of archaic. People will gladly use services that don't work all that well and pay you money for it, even though it doesn't work all that well. My mobiles don't work as well as my landlines. Way, way far down the road from 5 nines. Sometimes I can't get dial tone, the equivalent, right? Can't get it. Come on, register, right? Never works that way. Doesn't matter. So the stability of your platform is still important, but again, you got to get all this other monkeying around with those pipes out of the way. Just give me the big pipe. Yeah.
Pete Patel from Network IP. Gary, I guess I challenge that to an extent.
Good.
Certainly when you're talking about consumer perspective and consumer phones and so forth, but when you start getting into enterprises have a different requirement. I'll just give you an example. I mean, audio conferencing. For a lot of companies holding meetings, if they start having problems or any kind of issues, they'll trash that service so quick they'll make your head spin. Versus if they have a bad call on their cell phone, no big deal, that's probably in a bad spot. So it's really a condition of the target audience you're going to, of what they really will accept for not so good a quality or not 5 nines. But you got to be careful if you're going into enterprise. There's guys there that demand it's got to work all the time for them.
Right. So here's the conundrum that network engineers have. If you're in a business where you serve enterprise, small, medium business, and consumers, how do you engineer one single network that has to take care of all those needs? You engineer to the enterprise level. You have to, because that's the minimum level of acceptance for that customer segment. That customer segment is crucial to your business plan. You've got to do it. The difference is with IP, and with ways to do things that frankly are, deep packet inspection and other things, you need to be able to have a network that works pretty much okay for the lowest grade of application, which will be consumer web surfing and email. But also then the ability to have this sort of 5 nines experience for your business customers. And you do that in software though, you don't do that in the network is what I'm arguing. Now people may say, well, we don't want to do that, but that's how you get around it. You have a network that is cheap enough that you do 4 nines, 3 nines, or some other set of nines for the broad mass of consumers who aren't paying you very much money. Nothing wrong with that. But you still have the ability then to offer your business customers a 5 nines experience, but a lot of that isn't really network based anymore. I think it's increasingly software driven. At least I'm hoping that's where we're going. Okay, WiMAX. This is a question that I've been pondering for some years, and I'll give you the answer I've always given, and again, I may be wrong about this. The thing about most really new technologies, and the protocols are different for WiMAX, the thing that you always hear the CEOs talking about to the investment community is this is a totally different platform. We have a totally different business model, totally different capabilities, and that's why we're going to succeed. Because if you're going to the investment community, you have to say that. In reality, the history of technology adoption, at least as near as I can tell, is that everybody says that, but most people don't do it. What you actually do is you raise your money, you've got your permits, you've got your spectrum, you build your network. What do you then start to do? I start to steal market share from the existing customers somebody else has. All right, I watch the cable guys do this over and over again, and I'm pretty sure that's going to happen with WiMAX, right? So now, notice the shift in language. Sprint used to talk a little bit more about mobile internet. Their business model originally for the Sprint side of WiMAX was, no, we're going to price differently. You may not have a nailed up monthly minimum fee. If you use an application, you pay me by the drink. Right? Very different way of pricing and packaging. Also, their idea was we're going to be the mobile broadband internet. That's what we're going to be. We're not a cell phone company. And that was a clear, distinct message, and I think it makes sense. Right? Clearwire, though, now that they're planning this merger, is talking different things. And again, this is why I'm a little bit skeptical about that vision succeeding. The latest speeches that I've heard from the guy who's going to be the CEO of the merged Clearwire says, well, we're going to be in basically 4 lines of business. We'll be in broadband, fixed and mobile. Sounds like 3G to me. And we're going to be in fixed and mobile voice. Sounds like cell phone service to me, right? So already, merger's not even approved yet. Bert's talking about stealing market share from 3G. Right, attacking the current mobile operators, and in fact, all of this other stuff about open networks and open platforms, any application, that's still going to happen. But what they're going to be out there in terms of messaging and so forth is, I'm going to steal market share. Right, so they haven't even gotten to the point where the merger's approved, and already there's a shift in language. So, WiMAX, truth be told, it's more competition. At this point, I don't really think it's any more than that. And I could be wrong about that, right? In the US market, that's what I think is happening. Third world, totally different business model. It's a replacement for a broadband fixed service which doesn't exist. That's a viable business model, and that will work. But here in the US, it's just bandwidth, just more voice, right? So it's more competition. That's about the most negative thing or pessimistic thing I'll probably have to say all day, but that's what I think. Other questions? Yeah, Pankaj.
So if application proliferation is what you're really looking at, should the two-way revenue stream focus on also making needs of the level? So basically, as a service provider, you have a premium platform and access to a large subscriber base that you can today, the carriers don't do that. They don't see themselves as a platform, or at least they don't want it as a platform. Today, they see themselves as a service provider. So, should the service provider look at a model, a two-way revenue stream, where they also charge developers to have the privilege to allow that on their platform? Do you think that is going to
Now, my argument would be that both of those things will happen. That you don't want to give up being a service provider because you actually want to develop applications that are unique and sell them for money. And that's a good thing to do. On the other hand, you can also make money as a platform developer. So it's kind of like the old argument, a retail provider of any service would say, you know, we actually have people asking whether we can white label the stuff and wholesale it. And at some point you go, well, okay, it's found money, let's get into the wholesale business. Maybe it's 20% of your total revenue, 10%, some other number, but you do it. I think what you're going to find is the tier 1 carriers will find we both want to be providers of the applications ourselves as unique as possible, and also lots of people will